Hello there. Right, I'm just going to check the camera is actually working. Wicked, it is. Now that's pretty cool, because sometimes it just turns off, you know. Right, anyway, the purpose of this video. Right, I study theology at Durham University, and recently I've had to write an essay about a novel. Now this novel was written by a person called Dostoevsky, and in it, through the journeys and life experiences of the characters, he explores the Christian theme of resurrection, and very importantly, he explores this theme, finding it meaningful for this present life. Now, it has come to my attention that this motif of resurrection has often been considered somewhat abstract, somewhat removed, because a resurrection concerns something that happens after you've died. Okay, but Dostoevsky, in his Christian faith, finds it meaningful for life here and now, in the world as we live. Okay, now the novel is quite convoluted and so on. Well, it isn't really, but it's detailed. But basically, there are two main characters. There's a guy called Raskolnikov and a girl called Sonia. Now these two people are quite, they're broken people. They're dejected, they're worn down by life. But in each other's suffering they find some sense of solidarity, and they fall in love. And one of the many themes of the novel is that their kind of rubbishness of life is redeemed from being rubbish, not because their situations change as such, but because in finding love for one another they find purpose. They no longer have a regard for themselves but have a regard for each other, and are liberated from a purposeless existence of isolation into a fulfilled existence for one another, of loving your neighbour. Right, anyway, one of the crucial themes of the novel is that the person in whom Raskolnikov finds liberation from his personal guilt over a murder he has committed, he finds this liberation in the character of Sonia, as we've said. Sonia herself is a very unhappy character, as we've said, but there's something very important in this, that liberation, that the whole resurrection theme of the novel is brought out of Sonia, the one who's suffering, the one who's going through such mess. Isn't it amazing that resurrection, that new life, that renewal of relationships happens when people find solidarity in suffering? It's a contradiction, it's a paradox, but it's amazingly true, as Dostoevsky writes about. Anyway, I'm just going to read one paragraph and we'll see what we make of it. Very interesting. Right. This is called, the title of this kind of paragraph, or a couple of paragraphs, is The Unhappy Redeemer and Solidarity in Suffering. It is primarily through the character of Sonia that Raskolnikov finds hope to be liberated from his imprisoning guilt. Yet Dostoevsky portrays Sonia, the vessel of hope, as a broken person. She is a dejected prostitute, miserable in her own situation. Thus Moltmann is a theologian who's commented on this novel, Moltmann finds here an important principle, that it is only among the dead that the resurrection hope may genuinely be offered. Only through the miserable may grace be found. Thus the motif of resurrection is innately bound up in death and suffering. Two justifications may be given for this. Firstly, the notion of new life would arguably be meaningless if it were not preceded by some form of death. How can you have new life if there wasn't life before, kind of thing, you know? If you're going to have resurrection, it has to be preceded by death. Right. But secondly, as pointed out by Moltmann, only when hope fully apprehends the pain of the negative can it offer genuine liberation. Let's repeat that. Only when hope fully apprehends the pain of the negative, okay, can it offer genuine liberation. The hope offered through the miserable Sonia is reliable hope. It has endured suffering, yet still lives. This is why Raskolnikov can hold on to it. We may infer from this that Dostoevsky's resurrection hope is one which must necessarily reckon with suffering. Thus, the Redeemer in Crime and Punishment is herself unhappy. Therefore, we see a recurring necessity, a need for there to be an affirmation of suffering, in which the miserable may become co-sufferers with one another. Here they have a unity, and relationships between people are forged and restored. This forging and restoring of relationships engenders liberation. Thus Dostoevsky's concept of resurrection is not only inseparable from death and suffering, but actually finds its strength in these things. And the reason I've done this video is because I believe that's actually an extremely good description, allusion to what Jesus did as a Christian. Yes, because of his innocence, his death is believed to atone for our sins, but there is also some sense in which Christ, dying on the cross of sin, dying with sinners, is able to identify with sinners. He knows what it's like to have to overcome sin. He knows what it's like, and therefore the hope extended to us in his resurrection is true hope. It knows what suffering is, yet the hope still lives. Yeah, that's absolutely wicked. Anyway, see you later. Bye.